Hi all, I'm Nandini, in-house psychologist at Zoho Corp and commemorating World Mental Health Day on 10th October 2024. I'm here to answer a few questions related to mental health. So first question, from a psychologist's point of view, is happiness a state of mind or a result of your circumstances? Well, circumstances do contribute to happiness, but they are definitely not sole creators of happiness. We contribute to happiness by allowing that feeling to get into our nervous system. So from a psychological standpoint, happiness is a positive emotional state characterized by feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, and contentment. It involves both the subjective experience, the feel-good phenomenon that we talk about, and the cognitive experience of meaning-making, pursuing valued action. There are two phases to happiness. There is a hedonic happiness, which is the avoidance of pain and pursuit of pleasure, mainly through our sensory organs. And this is important too and needed in moderation. But excessive pressure to feel more of this elation actually traps us. Because as survival creatures, we are not designed for a perpetual state of elation. So if you're not feeling it as much as you think you should be feeling it, you're probably all right. Then there's the eudaimonic happiness, which is the pursuit of meaning, purpose in our life. And this path is not always easy or comfortable. It's not rosy, but it does give us an immense sense of satisfaction. So more of eudaimonic pleasure and less focus on hedonistic pleasure actually gives us a healthy attitude towards other negative emotional states like anxiety and sadness. At the end of the day, sadness about sadness is what creates more suffering. So second question, how can I deal with setbacks? When dealing with any form of psychological distress, be it a breakup, a setback at work, or any form of difficulty, setbacks are inevitable. There'll be a mixture of good days and bad days, and this process is chaotic. What we expect is a linear movement where we expect that every day there needs to be drastic improvement, but that's not the case. But remember that the bad days do not diminish the good days. For instance, you might be having an excellent week where your spirits are high, and then suddenly out of the blue you're breaking down, you're nervous, you're having dull moments. But these moments are also real, they're also normal, and they do not define the rest of the day or the rest of the week. So one way to deal with setbacks is by looking at it as an episode. So right now in this episode, I was feeling dull, difficult. That does not mean that the next hour is going to be that way. So do not set time limits or number limits. Healing means different thing to different people and it follows a unique pace. So when you pressurize yourself to heal faster or become normal faster, that actually adds to the problem. Rather, it's not about the number of times you have setbacks, but it's about choosing to get back up every time, restarting over and over again. That is in our control, and that's what dealing with setbacks need. Third question, how to build a routine that will help you maintain good mental health? When one is suffering from a mental health condition or is going through a tough mental health related episode, our internal world is very chaotic. So what would help is to have a good routine always, because that offers a sense of grounding and stability. So that being said, how do we set a routine? It's easy to come up with a schedule. It's easy to prepare a timetable. It's easy to set reminders on your phone. But what is hard is to stick to it. What is hard is starting. All of us have that starting trouble, that mental inertia which keeps us stuck. So one concept that I want to talk about here is the motivation trap. After setting up a routine or a timetable, what actually blocks us? We wait for motivation, we wait for inspiration, we wait for that one moment where, we feel good enough to start. But this actually leads to a waiting game. The more we wait, the more we lose, the more demotivated we feel. And then in our own head, we have this voice, yeah, this is what you do. You always, set up a routine, but you never stick to it. So the trick here is to jump into action blindly. Sometimes thinking and planning itself can be a form of procrastination. So it's easy enough to come up with a schedule. Once you're there, get started with the action. Do not wait for motivation or interest, because once you start, that generates momentum, that generates motivation. You start feeling productive and that will propel you towards more action. So the trick to maintaining a routine is blindly jumping into action and getting started. So fourth question, what's the best mental health tip you've gotten? I've gotten quite a few, but one thing that has stood by me, mental health is a very expensive price to pay for anything. So if something is costing you your mental health, it's important that you pause to see if it's worth paying that price. So this is a tip that I also live by. So fifth question, what can individuals facing mental health challenges do to maintain quality of work? If you are someone experiencing serious mental health issues and you believe it's starting to impact your everyday work functioning, then it's important that you pause and seek professional help. That being said, there are also a few things that you can do by yourself to manage the situation better. So one thing is pausing to check up on your thoughts. What is stopping you from carrying out these work-related tasks? Most often, anxiety, fear, some form of apprehension, which is fueled by a thought behind it. So what are these thoughts? There could be rigid perfectionistic demands like I should never make a mistake, it has to be the best. Or it could be awfulizing thoughts like what's going to happen if this goes bad, that's it, this is the end of my career. So these kind of awfulizing thoughts and demanding thoughts is what creates emotional disturbance that prevents us from giving our best. Just being aware of these thoughts gives us some distance from it. Journaling every day allows us to be more aware of it and challenge it more actively. Even if we're not able to change these thoughts fully, at least knowing that, okay, this thought creates problems allows me to ask myself, is this thought needed right now? Is it helpful right now? Thank you, mind. Thank you for giving me that thought, but look at what I have to do right now. You're not helping me at present. That's one thing. Second thing, many a times it's like we're standing at the bottom of a hill and we're looking at the top. We're looking at all the things that we have to do, and we realize that already we're exhausted because there's so much to do, so many steps to take. But remember that staying in the moment, taking the next first step is important. If we don't do that, we're again getting sucked into a cycle of procrastination, which makes us feel even more anxious. It aggravates the problem. So get started with the smallest step that you can take. But most importantly, looking at yourself as a complete person who is more than his or her mental health issue is what is important. When you reduce yourself to these labels, when you look at yourself as your symptoms, as your emotions and thoughts, then you're not able to engage with life or work fully. You are more than your mental health symptoms. You are a complete, valuable individual. When you remember that, you can live according to your values and engage better. Sixth question. Should I tell my boss about my mental health crisis? Is honesty a bad idea? In my suggestion, it's beneficial to be proactive here. Rather than waiting for the moment where things spiral out of control, or waiting for things to deteriorate to the point where you're called upon by somebody or people start noticing and wondering what's happening, it's better to take the initiative and talk about your mental health concerns, especially if it's been long-standing and you observe that it's impacting your work life significantly. Because that will make you appear more confident, more in charge, in control, and more responsible. That being said, it also is important on how and what you convey to your manager. You do not have to go into each and every details about your mental state. You do not have to mix it up with a lot of emotions, but you can keep it articulate and brief. Stick to the facts. For example, you could say, I've been experiencing some mental health challenges for a while. I'm trying to get the help that I need. I'm looking out for solutions or strategies to cope with this better. But in the meantime, I might have a few difficult days, and I sincerely appreciate your help and understanding. So something as simple as this is enough. It's also important that you talk about your limitations right now. For example, you could say, I've been experiencing some mental health challenges for a while and I'm getting the help that I need. I'm looking out for strategies and solutions to cope with this better. But in the meantime, I might have a few difficult days and I'd appreciate your empathy and patience. Something as simple as this works. Apart from this, you could also be practical about what you can contribute right now. Talk about time constraints or energy constraints that you might have at this point, technical assistance that you might need, other forms of assistance from colleagues that you might need. Because instead of saying yes to everything and then not being able to deliver, if you're frank about what you can contribute and actually do that, it makes you appear more consistent. So that is important to project yourself as a professional individual in the workplace. Seventh question, should I feel bad for taking a mental health related sick leave? Is a mental health leave a sick leave or a casual vacation leave? You definitely do not have to feel bad about taking a day off to sort out your mental health. It is definitely not a vacation or casual leave because sometimes a mental health condition can be 10 times more incapacitating than a physical illness. So we do need these breaks to take care of ourselves. But that being said, it's crucial to know our patterns. Why do you take that day off? Sometimes a day off is like an escape from things that will actually help us. For example, let's say a person has social anxiety. If you decide to take off every time you have a meeting with your manager, temporarily it will give you relief, but in the long run, it keeps the symptom alive and actually makes the problem worse. So pause to see why you need that day off. Is it a form of avoidance or is it to truly get help? If you need a day off to calm your nervous system, to get some sleep, or to just reflect, get some me time alone, then that's perfectly warranted and justified. So, knowing the reason behind the leave of absence concerning your mental health is more important than just taking a day off to sort out things. Final question: what would you say to someone who genuinely believes that therapy offers no value to them? I would say I understand that you're skeptical about therapy. I respect and value your opinion because therapy is honestly not for everybody. But that being said, I would stress that this is a body of science that is evidenced, backed by hundreds of years of research, and has helped millions of people around the globe. You do not have to force yourself to believe in its value universally, but I would suggest that let's keep an open mind. Let's believe in facts and evidence rather than abstract ideas. You are definitely entitled to your opinion, and more than believing in therapy, it's about believing in what works for you. Because what works for one person may not work for another person. And therapy is very complex. It comes in so many styles, modalities, and a range of specialists. So it's also important that you choose someone who specializes in your area of concern. And psychotherapy is not the only modality for improving mental well-being. As said, there are many other modalities. But keeping an open mind and keeping this as an option so that you don't deprive yourself of an evidenced body of science is what I would suggest. Thank you for tuning in. What mental health needs is more unashamed conversation, more sunlight, and more candor.